everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is a instant reaction to the Clippers and Phoenix Suns, a very good game. That's pretty much been the theme for this whole playoff. So Trevor, what do you make of this thriller that we saw in Phoenix between the Clippers and the Suns?
Man, uh, that was a great game. I think the intensity of that game is what I bring, or is what I take away from it the most. I mean, just the defensive intensity coming out of the gate was really high. You had Russell Westbrook, who I think had a great game, even though he didn't shoot well. He did so many other things to impact the game. Defensively, crashing the glass, collapsing the defense, kicking out to players, and setting up, easier baskets for his teammates. I mean, you had Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant going at it. Kawhi was his normal efficient self. KD was his normal efficient self. I believe KD had a triple double, um, and he was hit. KD's playmaking really was shown that game too. But you also had Devin Booker doing what Devin Booker does, and Chris Paul. A lot of people are probably going to overlook what he did just because he didn't score a whole bunch, but I mean, he had a double double with rebounds and assists, and just being a point guard that he is. I love to watch the matchup between Kevin Durant and Kawhi. They guarded each other quite a bit this game, on and off. Uh, I really feel like this series, honestly, we could have picked this series to be the most interesting series, a few days ago during our video, but um, I think this is what playoff basketball is. I mean, you saw there's, superstars Devin Booker, Kawhi Leonard diving on the floor, saving. Devin Booker had a great play where he was denying the post on Kawhi, got a tip, threw the ball, saved the ball from going out of bounds to get his team an easy transition basket.
Yeah,
It was really good. The matchups. I think moving forward though. The Suns, I think that they're going to really come out and try and get this next game. But if Kawhi can continue to play the way he's been playing, and the Clippers can find some sort of consistent offense from other players, it can be dangerous for the Suns. Even though I feel like the Suns can still come back, take control of this series. The only thing about the Clippers is they have to find some sort of consistent shot creation from somebody else other than uh, Kawhi. But and that's what Paul George's role was. But just the intensity and the defense from both teams, I think it was amazing.
yeah. This was a very good game. I even heard the disrespect to the Clippers. Some people wrote them off as being swept this series, which I thought was crazy. I knew they would at least get one game or two. But for me, when I look at this series, it's kind of like two teams looking in the mirror. Honestly, both teams love the mid range. They love pull up jumpers. There's nobody really trying to relentlessly attack the rim. They got a big down. They got two bigs down there capable of scoring. So I feel like point big X factor, like you said, was Russ. Um, I feel like the team that makes the most effort plays gets those second chance points, which Russ did tonight. That's really what's going to tilt the game. We even saw the stars on both teams, more so with Phoenix. They had to step up and really become two-way players, and I thought both teams showed great efforts in doing that. But just Russ's willingness. Historically, he's known for being a offensive engine, an offensive player. But tonight, his competitiveness, I thought it was very interesting how the Clippers put him on Kevin Durant, which I thought was a good idea. He's underrated kind of as a one-on-one defender, especially in the post, which Kevin loves to operate. And he was just very physical, very handsy, going hard. There was plenty of times where KD would get downhill off the screen. He was trying to turn the corner. Russ comes down and picks the ball, sends it out of bounds, or he would get a hand on a block, and the rebounding, obviously. And with a guy like that, you have to a guy so tall, so long, so skilled with Kevin Durant. I feel like you have to get to his shot early before he raises it up. Because once he gets his shot up above his head, it's not really anything you can do. So Russ did a very good job there. And obviously the history between those two, you knew Russ was going to be up for that challenge. The best thing to do with Kevin is also to be physical with him, which is another thing Russ is good at. So I feel like they did a good job of getting him off to a slow start. He was 0 for 5 to begin the game, and then of course, like we always know, he's going to find his rhythm. And I feel like the Suns are really going to have to do a good job of trying to get out on the break when they were able to get a kick ahead pass. That's when the momentum started to really pick up. Also, those guys like Torrey Craig and other people, also DeAndre Ayton, they're going to have to really be confident in scoring. We know Josh Okogie's the guy that they really like to put on out there for defense, but his lack of shooting probably will limit him as far as minutes. So Torrey Craig is a bigger, not as quick, not more so quick, but a bigger version of Josh Okogie, who's actually shot pretty well down this stretch of the season. So he was a very good option. He hit a whole bunch of threes. But that's what Phoenix is going to need because we know Devin's getting double. We know KD is getting double. Who are going to be the other guys to step up? Chris Paul struggled tonight. But yeah, I just feel like the shot creation kind of falls on in favor of the Clippers side because you don't have Paul George, but you have Kawhi, you have Russ constantly getting down to the rim. You also have Norman Powell, who has the potential to go off. You also have Eric Gordon, who's not afraid to score and shoot. And then you fill that in with Russ. You fill that in with Terrence Mann. You have Batum out there as a glue guy, and I feel like Zubac has a very important role of being more physical and out hustling, out rebounding, and putbacks over Aiton. So I feel like that the Clippers do have what it takes to really pull out an upset, even if Paul George doesn't play. And it's for the and to begin the game, Kawhi was going off like crazy. I feel like a lot of people forgot Kawhi when he gets in that playoff mode is it's hard to stop. It kind of felt like the Clippers were kind of doing like a lot of just one on one going at defenders, forcing guys who aren't known as defenders like KD, D Book, forcing them to defend, and they did take advantage of that. But I expect Phoenix to come back game two. They might be a little more sharper. You know, they got this one game under their belt. They're at home. I think they'll get game two, and then the series is on from there.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think one matchup to pay attention to that most people probably, you know, are gonna overlook. But DeAndre Ayton and Zubac, and you just mentioned that. I think Zubac did a great job. He had a double double, and DeAndre Ayton down the stretch was hitting very very clutch but baskets. So I think that's a really good matchup to keep track of, especially trying to protect the rim for both players. I know um, the Clippers haven't been great at protecting the rim over the course of the season, but as you get into the playoffs, that's something that you're going to need. And I think they did a pretty good job of it. I think they can do better though. But I just think that's a good matchup to look at. But I kind of disagree with you. I still think in terms of shot creation and creating offense, I think the Phoenix Suns have the advantage there because you still have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant who can get their shot off at any point, and you still have Chris Paul who can set people up and get his shot. Whereas on the Clippers side, I feel like Kawhi was really the only shot creator uh, over the course of this game that really got into offenses, forced the defense to react to him and create plays. Like Russell Westbrook did very well at getting downhill and creating shots for other people and collapsing the defense. But in terms of like shot creation, creating shots for himself, I think Kawhi is really the only guy that can do that consistently and force the defense to react to him. Norman Powell does it a little bit, but his was more like downhill kind of stuff, and all that. But on an elite level, I feel like the Phoenix Suns probably have the advantage there. But I see what you're saying in terms of players, though. Like the Clippers are definitely deep and have people that can,
Make things happen.
make some things happen and hit shots.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I agree. It's kind of at a point where I feel like it's really Devin and Kevin out there right now, just those two. Um, yeah, I would agree. Obviously, those two are better shot creators than everybody else, but I feel like in this series they're going to draw so much attention that it's going to kind of seem like it's really just up to those other guys that's not those two to really, um, to really put the ball in the basket. And honestly, that's a credit of the Clippers because they have the actual physical tools to force players into places where they prefer them to operate from and just physically more equipped to play that end of the ball. Phoenix doesn't really have that, which is what I feel like they should target for to round out that roster. So you don't have Devin Booker always having to dive out of bounds to get that ball or Kevin having to guard ISO. But you technically are right. The shot creation as far as an elite level that you're speaking of does go with Phoenix. And I kind of pointed to this earlier, but I just feel like this is going to be a constant thing through the playoffs. Like the ability to be more physical than your opponent has so far fallen on the winner's side so far. The Knicks, we mentioned that. I feel like the Lakers were very physical with the Grizzlies and the physicality and hustle that Russ brought. I feel like Zubac personally is a more physical big than Ayton. Terrence Mann is another guy, and just all the wings and players that the Clippers have that really show when you think of Phoenix, you don't really think of them as physical players. You get away with a lot more in the playoffs, and with being a heavy jump shooting team, the times where your shot's not falling, it's gonna really put you in a hole that you're gonna have to dig yourself out of. I think the Clippers were up like 15 early on in the game, and I just feel like that's something to pay attention to as the series goes on. But the Suns have all the skills, not quite the experience with each other. So that'll be another interesting dynamic to see how it plays out the rest of the series. But I can see the potential with this team. Um, we'll see how it goes for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I see where you're coming from. And to your point, Cameron Payne didn't play today because he, is injured. So, if those three players like Kevin, Devin, and CP are not in the game or something like that, it you know there's not too many other options to go to in terms of shot creation or initiating offense. So I understand, but no, it's going to be good to watch this series down the line, and I'm looking forward to it.